What's up, guys? My name's Miles.
And my name is Fez.
And this is The Commodity. And today we are reacting to a very, very, very commonly requested video. We've been asked to react to the Geography Now Malaysia video for quite some time. Obviously, we've been talking about traveling to Malaysia for a while.
And it's still a plan. It's
Yes.
still in the works. It's
Yes.
going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen.
And so everybody's been asking us to take a look at this video so we could get a little more in-depth
But first,
idea of Malaysia. But first,
smash that subscribe button. We are planning on getting tattoos. I'm going to be getting the, I just went blank,
Proton. We'll put it right here.
logo tattoo right here. And we're still in the works. Maybe a durian tattoo.
You know where, so you guys get to tell me what's going to be tattooed on my body, and you know where you can do that? On the Discord. We've got it. It is blowing up with people. Everybody's joining, talking to us. We've made some friends. What's up, Discord friends? Yeah, 80 to 100 right now. It's grown since this morning. So we're having fun in there. We're talking to you guys daily. Sometimes we'll hop over to the voice chat and we'll talk in person, actually get to hear each other's voices, make fun of each other's accents. It's awesome. Yeah. So,
and then also found below is our Patreon link. It is basically there to help us along the ride, trying to get to the point where we can visit Asia, specifically Malaysia at this point. So if you're able to and you're wanting to, go ahead and check it out below. If not, we understand. We're just happy you're here with us.
Yes, 100%. Guys, I am ready to learn about Malaysia.
About the geography.
Geography.
Let's jump into it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Let me put my headphones on before we go.
This guy works out.
He's buff. Buff, dude.
He works out.
I'm buff.
Well, here we go. Ever since I made the Indonesia episode, you have no idea how many Malaysians were like,
okay, now that you did our cousins episode, do not mess with ours.
oh, don't worry, Malaysia. And here to reassure you, I made you some nasi goreng.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. How refreshing. We are back in Southeast Asia, and today, after Brunei, East Timor, Indonesia, we are doing the last country in the Nusantara archipelago, Malaysia. Ahem. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, Singapore. You're so small. So what do the Malaysians bring to the table that the others don't?
Shots fired.
Well, let's find out in the first segment. Cue transition. Now this is going to be really fun because Malaysia's land has so many unique twists and turns, and explaining it, it's kind of like doing a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. Right, Ken?
Right, totally.
Yeah. You got it?
I don't know, did I?
You got it. First of all, Malaysia is located in Southeast Asia, divided into two main parts. Peninsular Malaysia, where about 40% of the land, which also has the southernmost tip of mainland Asia, Tanjung Piai, while East Malaysia, or Malaysian Borneo, takes about...
I didn't know Malaysia was two parts.
I honestly didn't either. I feel stupid.
I feel very
Admitting
stupid.
Especially the fact that we could be like, yeah, we knew all that. But
I
we
thought
honestly
Malaysia
didn't
was
know that.
Yeah, I thought Malaysia was just that first part.
Yeah, I honestly did too. Like, I'm
There's
dead
an
serious.
entire
I'm not
60% of Malaysia that I didn't know
I feel so stupid. Look,
60%.
I'm better at geography probably than a lot of Americans, but when it comes to Asia, I probably am just about as average as everybody else. But geez, I feel stupid after that.
I truly didn't know that.
I didn't either.
And most of the people we've been talking to on our Discord, click it in below and in the description, have probably been from the part we didn't even know about.
Yeah. Question: how difficult is it to get from one part of Malaysia, one island, to the other?
And how long does it take?
Because based off of just the picture on this, it looks far.
It does.
I mean, it could be like a quick swim. It could be like going from the Keys to Miami. I don't know.
Could just be a quick swim.
It could be just, like somebody just got a rowboat and they just get across.
I like that.
Based off of this picture, it looks far as hell.
1 minute in and we've already learned something huge.
We're just stupid Americans.
On the island of Borneo, making it one of the only two islands shared by three nations along with Cyprus. If you want to be technical, Cyprus kind of has 4, including the UN buffer zone, but you get the point. Just watch the Cyprus episode. Keep in mind, about 80% of the population lives on the peninsula, while only about 20% live on Malaysian Borneo. In addition, the country has over 870 islands.
So 80% lives on the smaller portion, 20% lives on the bigger portion.
Which makes sense, obviously.
Okay.
Its shores, the state of Sabah having the most with nearly 400. The largest one being Banggi Island. However, the island of Sebatik is a little bigger, but the island is split in half with Indonesia in the south. Also, they have a little bit of a dispute with the Philippines in the east. The country is divided into 13 states and 3 federal territories. Putrajaya Labuan, with the capital Kuala Lumpur. However, due to overcrowding, almost all the government ministries and administrative offices were moved to Putrajaya in 1999. After Kuala Lumpur, the next largest cities are Georgetown on Penang Island and Ipoh. The busiest airports are...
We have a Georgetown in
We
Texas.
do have a Georgetown. I think there's a Georgetown in Ohio.
I'm pretty sure there's a Georgetown in most states.
Georgetown.
Georgetown. If you're still watching,
Comment Georgetown.
Georgetown.
are Kuala Lumpur International, Kota Kinabalu, and Penang Internationals. Now here's the thing, Malaysia lies under the South China Sea. If you don't know anything about this place, and if you didn't watch the Brunei episode, it basically goes like this. Basically, every country in this area wants a piece of these things called the Spratly Islands. Today, Malaysia has claim to about 11 of them, and the most notable one being Layang, which they built
That's
an air base
beautiful.
on. Now,
That's
you might
dope.
notice that it's interesting how these two small entities, Singapore and Brunei, got mixed up into this whole region. Well, when it came to Brunei, it kind of went down like this.
Welcome to the Malaysia Agreement. Sultans, please sign the paper saying you'd like to be part of Malaysia.
Wait, I'd have to give up that? And I'd have to lose control of what? Oh, hell no. As for Singapore, it was more like...
Hey Malaysia, you just got free from British rule. Let's join up.
Make sense? Yeah, we are now one country.
Yeah.
You have too many Chinese people, and you're gonna waste my money!
Yeah, well you only get privileges to the Malays!
You know what? You're out of the club.
Yeah, fine. You know what?
You're out of the
I
club.
quit. One day, you know what? I'm gonna make something of myself!
Okay!
And boy howdy did they keep that promise. Otherwise, some notable places of interest might include places like the largest roundabout in the world, the Petronas Towers, the tallest twin building.
Petronas Towers.
I knew about these.
We knew about those. And
We do need to do a reaction to a
I-
Petronas Tower video.
yes, let us know in the comments if you want us to do a reaction to Petronas Towers.
And plus, they have the second world largest tower being built. We do need to do a video on that. Let us know if that's which one you would prefer first.
Yes.
In the world, Kuala Lumpur Tower, the Batu Caves with a Hindu shrine, the National Monument of Malaysia, Legoland Malaysia, yep, they have one, Sunway Lagoon, the National Mosque of Malaysia, Kek Lok Si Buddhist Temple,
That's beautiful.
these palaces, the
That's
old Dutch
beautiful.
buildings of Malacca, the Leaning Tower of Teluk
That's
Intan,
beautiful.
Afamosa Fortress, the cat statue of Kuching, this heritage museum, Sarawak Cultural Villages, and the Sepilak Orangutan Rehabilitation Center. Yeah, orangutans, they have plenty of those in here, which means we can now swing over to the next segment, When it comes to Malaysia's land, they got kind of lucky because not only is it like rich and beautiful, but unlike their neighbors, you don't really have to deal with any crazy catastrophes. First of all, Malaysia rests comfortably on the bottom of the Eurasian plate, literally shielded on all sides, mostly by Indonesia and the Philippines. This means that if any earthquakes occur, Indonesia usually absorbs all of it. If cyclones and tropical storms attack, the Philippines and Indonesia take the hit. And if a volcano erupts, they don't have to worry because they don't really have any volcanoes, and it's probably happening in Indonesia.
Thanks, Indonesia.
Now, when it comes to nature, even though the
Indonesia, they just kind of take a hit. They don't have it too easy.
largest lake, the Kenya Reservoir, lies on the West Peninsular Malaysia side. The Eastern Malaysia Borneo side has all the extremes. They have the highest mountain, Mount Kinabalu, the longest river, the
Kinabalu.
Rajang, and a lot more animals. In fact, Malaysia is one of Mount Kinabalu, the longest river, the Rajang, and a lot
I've been told to get that tattooed on me. They call it the mouse deer.
It looks like a mouse that hung out with a deer.
It's so tiny.
Oh, I think I've seen them. They're like this.
Yeah, they've been
like that big or
I've
something.
been told to get this tattooed on me.
That would be a
more
hard
animals.
explanation.
In fact, Malaysia is one of the most biodiverse.
It's got a
countries
powerful
in the
meaning
world.
behind
They have
it.
14,500 species of flowering plants and
That's an
trees,
animal?
over 600 bird species,
an
over
animal.
200
Yeah.
species of mammals. Speaking of which, Peninsular Malaysia is home to the most black panthers in the world.
Brady.
Speaking of that, the national animal is
R.I.P.
the Malaysian tiger, which is also featured
Wakanda
on the
forever.
farms, which we'll cover on
Wakanda.
Flag Friday. Stay tuned. Otherwise, they have elephants, rhinos, orangutans, and they even have their own version of tapirs like the ones in South America. Wow. And that creepy-looking proboscis Rhesus monkey. Many of these species you can find in one of the oldest rainforests in the world, over 3 times older than the Amazon, Taman Negara. Malaysia is also
That
a
looks
land
beautiful.
of caves. In fact, they have the largest chamber in the world that can be found in Sarawak. Otherwise, Malaysia is known for producing electronics, palm oil, petroleum, gas, and rubber. They're actually the second largest palm oil producer in the world and the largest
Patronus?
condom maker. Just saying. They even
Hello.
have their own national car company,
Condom
Proton,
maker.
making Malaysia
Proton
the only country in the world
tattoo.
with the capability
Hey.
to design and engineer and manufacture cars. Otherwise, some national dishes might include things like nasi kandar, nasi dadang, nasi kerabu, chicken percik, mangosteen and durian are treasured fruits, and the national dish nasi lemak. Oh, and if you have
Nasi
the chance to see, you
lemak.
can witness the famous
Stay
Tariq
tuned.
tea
Coming
shows. The servers pour out tea, sometimes over a meter in length. It's almost seen as like an art form. Okay, I think that's just about it for now in this segment. Let's talk about the coolest part of Malaysia, the Malaysians. Just for the record, the word Malay refers to the races that make up Malaysia. Malayan is the geographic term for peoples of West Malaysia on the peninsula and not part of Borneo. And Malaysian is the nationality and citizenship. So a Malay person in Singapore is Malay, but not Malaysian. And a citizen of Indian descent living in Kuala Lumpur would be a Malaysian and Malayan, but not Malay. Got it? Probably not. First of all, the country
No.
has about 32 million people and is
I'll
one
try,
of the
but I
fastest growing
doubt
nations
it.
in Asia.
It's one of the fastest growing nations in Asia. So it's just getting bigger.
Country is made up of 67% Malay or Bumiputra indigenous Malay
Bumiputra.
peoples. We'll talk more about that in a bit. About a quarter of the population is Chinese, about 7%
Wow.
are Indians, and the rest are other groups mixed in, including a few other Asian groups and Europeans. They use the Malaysian ringgit as their currency, they use the type G and M plug outlets, and they drive on the left side of the road. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk politics.
They
Boo.
drive on the left side of the road.
Correct.
Okay.
That would
makes
be
sense.
the opposite of our side.
Yeah, I was like, we drive on left sides of the road. It's just in the opposite direction.
He's already been dreaming of living in Malaysia.
Oh, we're not getting into an ideological debate. We're just going to explain the system in which Malaysia's government operates.
Proceed.
Malaysia is one of the few monarchies in the world. However, it's not a monarchy in the conventional sense because they kind of have 9 kings-ish. These 9 states each have a royal leader known as a sultan, and every 5 years they rotate to allow one of the 9 sultans to rule as head king, known as the Yang Di Petuang Agong. That means that technically, if you were a boy and your dad just finished being king for his 5-year term, you could be the next one, but you would have to wait at least 40 years for it to happen. You know, since
wow.
8 other kings would have to be king before you. Yeah, I know, it's like, oh, what the? There's a lot more that goes into it, but that's kind of like the basic underline. They are the only country that does this. I mean, the closest thing would be maybe the Comoros with that rotating president thing, but it's nowhere near as complex as this. Nonetheless, the royals are held under a constitution that limits their power mostly to cultural and religious affairs, as well as appointing certain leaders and so on. Most of the government activity is held and controlled by the prime minister and the parliament. Which brings us to the most recent controversy, the 2018 election. This effectively changed everything, as for the first time since 1957, the BN party was voted out and the new PKR party took over. And it was actually a peaceful transition. We really don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but it's really interesting to look into and talk to a Malaysian person if you want to know more about it. It was like a huge deal for the country. Anyway, the country has 2 official recognized
Let us know
languages,
about it in the
Malay
Discord.
and English. They were once a British territory, so it kind of makes sense.
So you gotta
It's
sign
taught
up.
from elementary school. Malay is basically intelligible to Indonesian. Both countries can generally understand each other. I explained this a bit in the Indonesia episode. For Malay, the words are easy to read, but the problem is the intonation. For example, the word for slowly, I believe, is perlahan, not perlahan. It's like you just have to know how these things work. Nonetheless, about half of the population is mostly fluent in 3 languages, adding their mother tongue, especially if they're part of the Chinese and Indian minority groups. And they are allowed to take vernacular schools that teach in these languages, just like Singapore. Which brings to culture. In Malaysia, the population is quite diverse. You have a lot of Chinese, known as the Peranakan Chinese, that have existed there since the 15th century. They have a unique Chinese-Malay culture with a touch of European influence. The
Food.
Indian community is mostly Tamil and Telugu-speaking South Dravidian Indian groups that were brought over during the British colonial years. Then, of course, you have the largest people group, the ethnic Malays, or the Bumiputra, as well as the Orang Asal, whom are like the really indigenous ethnic Malays that make up the majority of the population in East Malaysia on Borneo. Sometimes these 2 people groups are collectively joined together under the term Malay, although some might disagree. But either way, these 2 groups kind of steer the direction in terms of what constitutes Malay culture. Oh, and don't even get started on the Bajau people that live on these structures
That's
in the middle
beautiful.
of the ocean for most
Look
of
at
their
that
lives.
water.
They've adapted to hold their breath for like 15 minutes underwater. Yeah, those.
That's one thing I want to do in Asia. I mean, obviously, I could
Hold your breath for 15 minutes?
I could go do that in Texas, spearfishing.
No, you couldn't. He cannot hold his breath for 30 seconds. When he gets in water, he lays in water. He doesn't even swim.
I'm lazy. I just sit on the side and drink and enjoy my day. But I do want to visit a coral reef. Obviously, I know when we go to Kuala Lumpur, there's not a beach around.
Right.
But
wrong side of the.
That's one thing I want to do is go to the beach. I've never seen a true beach aside from Florida. So.
People are cool. Another thing I really want to highlight is that sometimes Indonesians do kind of accuse Malaysians of stealing their culture because a lot of Malaysians are descended from Sumatra. Faith-wise, Malaysia is also quite diverse. Although the country's official religion is Islam, it's a multi-confessional nation. Buddhists are mostly from the Chinese community, Hindus for the Indians, Christians from all races. Numerous temples, mosques, and shrines and churches are found all over. Malay culture is defined by a number of aspects. For one, the clothing. Remember a couple months ago that guy from Malaysia, Kamarul, sent me the Malay hat, the Tenggolok. So I forgot to bring this on set when we were filming, but I still have the hat and I love it, and I told you I would wear it in the episode. So here I am. I'm wearing it in the Malaysia episode. Thank you so much, man. I asked some of you guys, the Malaysian geographies, what you would like me to highlight in terms of Malay culture, and some things you said included things like the performing arts such as joget dancing and makyong theater.
I'd like to see things like that.
Silat martial arts, songket weaving, the traditional steep roof and sharp buttress architecture, gamelan music. Speaking of which, history time. We don't have enough time to go too far into it, but in the quickest way I can put it, Hindu kingdoms, Buddhist kingdoms, Islamic Sultanate, Portuguese came in, Dutch came in, British came in and made the White Raja period, which made things interesting. World War II, Japanese came in, British came in again.
Always do.
Okay, very quickly just to cut, this is the part where I totally forgot to mention all the cool stuff that happened in the 60s. It's how they got those two states in Borneo. We'll explain more on Flag/Fan Friday, so stay tuned. Economic restructuring and industry boom, 2018 vote for the new prime minister, and here we are today. All right, some notable people that you guys, the Malaysian geography, suggested that I should mention in this video might include people like Siti Nurhaliza, Lat, the cartoonist, Sheikh Muzaffar Shukor, P. Ramli, Ziavi, Hang Tua, Enrique of Malacca, Michelle Yeoh, Tony Fernandez, Air Asia owner, designer Jimmy Choo, Melinda Louie, singer Yuna, director James Wan, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, Nicole Ann David, Lee Chong Wei, Henry Golding, and the first prime minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman. I'm sure there's way more famous people I could have mentioned, but we gotta move on. Time to go to the last part of this episode, Now, Malaysia is quite the powerhouse player when it comes to Southeast Asia. They got a good thing going on and they host great parties. Outside of Asia, the EU has good relations, making Malaysia one of the top 3 trading partners of Southeast Asia, and specifically Austria loves exchanging electronics and pharmaceuticals with them. Of course, the UK is still pretty close. As a former colony, much of the cultural residue is still evident to this day. They are one of the Commonwealth of Nations. Many Malaysians live in the UK, and most of the white population in Malaysia are of British descent. As a member
That's interesting to know. So at least when you show up, you won't be the only white person there.
Yeah. No, that is interesting.
I wonder if there's any Mexicans there.
Are there any Mexicans in Malaysia?
Or will I be the only one?
You'll not only be the only Mexican, but you'll also be the only person in Asia with a proton tattoo.
Yeah. So I do have a question. Or actually, no, it's more of a statement. We had talked about in our Discord about how really we have a lot in common as far as like the flag goes, because our very first flag shared almost identical resemblance of Malaysian.
Britain? What? So
no, the Malaysian.
Well, but the Malaysian flag also. Both of our flags were derived from
Britain.
Yes,
originally, and then y'all's stripes represent the states, and our stripes represent our first colonies. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we have a lot in common outside of maybe skin pigment. All right, let's go ahead and get back into this.
Member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Of course, they have close ties to their neighbors. Cambodians love Malaysia and visit often, whereas Malaysia is one of the closest and biggest investors of Cambodia. Thailand has a few issues since there are those Malay Patani separatists in the south that keep protesting, whereas the Philippines is like, we're really similar ethnically, but you're mostly Muslim and I'm mostly Catholic, but whatever, we both like coffee and fried chicken. When it comes to their best friends, however, most Malaysians I've talked to...
I'm telling you, food is the thing that brings countries together, even if they don't fully get along, or if there's like religious conflicts or stuff, those kind of things. But food still somehow finds its way through.
Food draws me into anything.
Yeah, and that's like a bunch of cultures. Now, I know there are certain foods that don't connect, things like pork, and I understand that, and I can respect that. But in general, as a whole,
I think everybody likes chicken, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
chicken
so
is
like if
the
there was
national-
a haunted house and a serial killer had a plate of fried chicken,
we're all going in.
and he's just slowly backing up into the darkness, I'm gonna follow him.
We go for chicken.
Chicken.
To have said Indonesia and Singapore. Singapore may have left the Malaysian Union, but they still kept close ties as a sovereign state. They are quite cooperative in business and even culturally. They are very similar, with noticeable Chinese and Indian minority enclaves. Indonesia is like the big brother that has a very different political system, but in the end, they cannot deny how alike they are. The biggest difference would be that most Indonesians have a Javanese background, whereas the Malaysians are just Malay, mostly Sumatran, but they talk the same, they eat the same, they enjoy the same hot, humid atmosphere, and they
More
have close
food.
relations altogether. In conclusion, with sultans, kings, tigers, panthers, temples, shrines, mosques, and really cool hats, it's no wonder why Malaysia is becoming a hot spot that everyone's talking about today. Stay tuned, the Maldives is coming up next.
That was a lot that I did not know, and the biggest shocker again is the fact that I did not know that Malaysia was
Majority
separated.
2 different islands, locations. Yeah, that I still feel stupid for not knowing that. I've looked at Malaysia on the map, and I never.
We've been talking about Malaysia for over a month.
Yeah, and we still are like, oh, surprise. But it gives me more perspective of actual locations when they're actually like highlighting it.
Yeah.
Because I can look at a map, and you get these borders on your phone. You can't really differentiate it that well.
Right.
But when you start seeing this, like they pull it out from the rest of the land around it, and you get this like idea of what it truly is.
Yeah.
And then you see this other land that we had no idea was connected. But I mean, you're just like, it's impressive. And I still would really like to know how hard it is to commute back and forth. I mean, I assume it's not like going and visiting like on a daily basis, but
Like for a after church lunch with your grandparents.
yeah, you might be like, we're gonna take a flight just to get over there, or maybe it's like I said, it might be just
A
little-
ferry.
yeah, ferry. Yeah, there might be some dude just pulling a chain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've learned a lot from that.
So y'all can correct us on our ignorance down in the comments below. We're more than happy to take the beating that we know is coming.
Yes, and if there's anything that he did not go over that you think we might need to know, throw that in the comments. And even better, again, go to our description, sign up to the Discord, and let us know in the Discord. Let's have a conversation.
So with that being said,
my name is Miles.
and my name is Fez.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace.
Out.